Okay.
Forgot that he worked there.
You good? Yeah, okay. Today is September 18th, Wednesday. It's our safety meeting. And we've asked for a pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Alicia Ellis,
Present.
John Kingston, present. Anthony Caggiano, chairperson, present. And we also have Fred Sinella from our school committee also. And we also have two of our city councilors here, Council President Anthony Pagliandro and Michelle Kelly. We've asked the meeting to come before us. It's been about a couple of weeks. And we want to talk about a couple of initiatives, but we also want to talk about what's transpired in the last couple of weeks. There's a lot of things out there negative, and there's some other things out there positive. This committee is not always here. The public's not always here, so this is more of to hear from the SROs is what's going on in our schools, how things been, and where we are, and what we can do going forward. And with that, I'll have Dr. Kelly start it off.
Sure. I did give a bit of an update at the school committee meeting last night. And that's on YouTube for anybody who wants to see it. An important piece of information that I'd like to get out there again is that we are having a community forum. And that will include staff, students, and parents, family members next Tuesday in the Learning Commons at Revere High School. I can say that we've had some great days since the last incident. And a lot of good things happening at the high school in the meantime. And so we're excited about that. We're very thankful to the Revere Police, especially our SROs, but the rest of the support team at the Revere Police Department as well, who've been helping us through these last couple of weeks. I know there are a couple of principals who spoke last night about some of the harm that's been done to students in the Revere community as they're portrayed in such a negative light in the media, and the work that we're gonna pursue, not only just obviously making sure that unacceptable events like the two fights that we had over the last couple of weeks don't occur, but also that our students don't feel vilified in the process of us addressing those very important matters of school safety. No, is that good?
Okay, if you can open up this.
Sure, thank you. I just want to reiterate what Dr. Kelly said that, there's been several steps taken, as she mentioned in the previous forum. We've had criminal actions against several students, and obviously there's been administrative actions against those students. We have an additional SRO that's assigned to the school district, and we also have our behavioral health team that's working here at the school district for emotional help to support the emotional well-being of some of the students. I will say that, when we talk about school safety, we don't talk about it when something happens. It's consistent, it's ongoing, it's almost daily between the SROs and the superintendent. And I also attend some of these meetings, so I just want to make that clear that we take school safety very serious.
Right now, has the temperament changed a little from, maybe you can tell us, at Revere High? I mean, I stopped in a couple times myself. And it's since the brawl, and I've walked through the school, and it's been pretty much been a quiet temperament.
Yeah, I'm here every day, absolutely.
But there's been changes since we've had that.
Absolutely. So I mean, now that the message is out there that, this is a learning environment, this is, the kids are here to learn, so they're not here. All the outside stressors and everything that was affecting their learning abilities, this is, it's focused on it.
Does the committee have any questions?
No, I just appreciate your efforts and happy to have an extra officer here. Thank you.
No, I just say the chief, I reached out to the chief, I'm not sure if he's on Zoom. but him and the mayor had prior commitments. So with that, I wanted to start with the agenda, and one of the things on the agenda was brought up at the city council by Michelle Kelly was the panic buttons. And I know we talked about it, we're looking at it. Did you want to talk about it? I know Richie had some other things also.
Yeah, I can start and then I can toss it to Richie. Like one thing that I think some people might not be aware of, and I will say, as Dr. Bellucci alluded to a minute ago, we don't like everything about our safety protocol to be public because that can become a threat to the school and to the students. But I think that it's probably important to share at this point that we redid our phone system throughout the district this summer. And that was in collaboration with the Revere Police, just as we reflected on our safety protocols. It used to be the routine that we had phones that were assigned to individual staff members. And so if somebody changed classrooms, their phone would go with them and it would automatically say, you know, you've reached Miss Kelly. Please leave your number and I'll call you back as soon as I can. And by carrying the phone with them, that message would stay programmed in the phone. Anyway, this summer we decided to change that protocol and now the phones are anchored to a classroom, and between our emergency operations system and that of the Revere Police, if somebody picks up a phone in a classroom and calls 911 and there are no additional digits that anybody has to do to call 911, by the way, you literally dial 911. The 911 operator receiving that call knows what building you're in, knows what floor you're on, knows what room you're in already. And so we feel like that is even a more exacting, quick way to contact the police if needed, if there's an issue in any one of our schools. And that's every school, every office, every classroom, every phone has a specific location that the 911 operator will see when a call is made.
And I would just add to that, in addition, all of our counselors and administrators carry walkie-talkies all day. They are able to call 911 directly from their walkie-talkie. They don't even need to get to a landline. They simply change over to our emergency channel and they can be talking to 911 dispatch from their walkie-talkie that's on their person. We also received the opportunity from the state 911 department to train our children, perhaps elementary, but certainly secondary, how to call 911 silently. And so I'll pass these around. It literally just dropped this week. And really what it has is if people were in a situation whereby they couldn't speak, they can text 911. And by texting the number 1 after putting in 911, they would be saying they need police. If they text number 2, they need fire. If they text number 3, they need an ambulance. And they can do that silently and discreetly from their phone. They can also interact with the 911 dispatch. And so when the 911 dispatch poses a question back to them, they press 4 for yes and 5 for no. So it's just another layer beyond the initial call 911 when there's an emergency that Dr. Kelly referenced, that now if we were ever, God forbid, in a situation whereby you couldn't communicate verbally, they would be able to do that from a cell phone that was in the room. Any person with a cell phone in the room on their person in their backpack would be able to do that and communicate with 911.
And Dr. Bellucci, this is true universally. This isn't for the Revere Public Schools. If
Right.
this were to happen to any parent in their workspace or anywhere in the Commonwealth, you have access to this. Understanding what the codes are in order to text with 911 is beneficial to all of us. But as Dr. Bellucci is saying, we're going to actually take the step of training our students and our staff in these texting procedures.
Should we table this at our next?
Sure, can you just, what panic buttons were contemplated? I see it here on the agenda, but I don't know anything about why it's on here, what the discussion was, or.
I don't know who put that on the agenda. I did have a conversation with Mr. Caggiano about it, but there are some districts and some states where staff members can wear a button on their lanyard or around their neck or on their clothing that you push the button and it contacts 911.
And I think one comment I'll just have about panic buttons. And it harkens back to the school committee support of the locks that we purchased. One of the main factors of why we purchased those locks is because they were discreet. They were very minimal in terms of their appearance in classrooms or offices. They were similar to a fire alarm or something that's on the wall, it's red, the kids know it's for an emergency. I struggle with teachers standing before children with a panic button around their neck and worry about students that are staring at that each and every day and what that does to them internally. And again, like, we have a number of widespread precautions around the building. If you take a walk and you look at them, you'll see them all. But they are discreet if you're not paying attention to them, but they're there if you need them. And I worry that that's kind of a spotlight when it's hanging around our teachers' necks.
And I'll just add one more thing to that is that Dr. Bellucci and Sergeant Internicola go to the statewide safety trainings every single year. And every year we learn about what are the new things that are available for schools and you know, all of that is certainly taken into account. So we see the reports, the positive and the negative on all different kinds of safety devices like the panic buttons and other measures. So they are fully on top of cutting edge school safety matters.
Are there any locations in the schools where we may need to purchase additional phones?
Every room has a phone.
Like the gyms and
Yep.
library.
Yep.
At this point, I'd like to table this. We'll get more information and see how the phone will actually be working. And go from there. On discussion number 2, it's a kind of a twofold. We want to talk about additional security, but also possibly having a security consulting come in. As far as the security goes, what I'm looking to do is basically have 2 retired officers. I'm sorry, 1 retired officer instead of 2 hall monitors. And they will basically supervise, engage the students as well as the hall monitors. And then they will report to the SROs. If we have one at every location at the school, and then we have our 3 SROs, and then we have the 4th one going between schools, I think that will be ample coverage for our schools, because sometimes we're short coverage, someone is out. And I think it would be beneficial. It wouldn't really cost the school system that much more money. And like, we have the hall monitors, the assistant principals and principals, they're telling the hall monitors what to do, but this particular job, volunteer supervision with the hall monitors, as well as engaging with the students. That is one with anybody, any questions on it?
No, it sounds like a great idea. I mean, I feel like with the number of students, 2,200 students in the high school, we can add additional adults in the hallways and, when the students are transferring classes, I think that's a wonderful idea. And I like the idea of having a former police officer who has, requisite training. I would also want to make sure that like the SROs that we have now have, not only experience, but they have the temperament and demeanor and the know-with-all with how to engage and interact with students of all ages. And I just think that we have to be cautious that the person who we bring on board also, has those qualities.
No, that's why retired officers.
Mhm.
Sure, no, yeah.
I'd like to ask their opinion. Frank,
Yeah, I think, in general, it's something, we have to consider. I'd like to see what other districts do. But anytime you have a responsible adult that really knows how to connect with kids, that's what you want, because we often overlook that authentic relationships with kids are really what matters. Why? Because we know when something is about to happen, or if a kid knows anything about an incident that may come up, they go to an educator or a police officer. So it's important to just build authentic relationships. Who that is, I don't know if an officer, it would depend on a lot of circumstances, but I think a responsible adult in the school that can assist the SROs, whether it's a police officer or not, it's something to be considered. It just has to be the right fit.
Well, absolutely.
So the official title, they're called campus supervisors, and we are in the process right now. I'm working closely with our administration team. And we are in the process of putting on more campus supervisors, we're almost at full staff, and it's going well. We'll keep you updated on that.
And I will share that the SROs do train them sorry.
No, go,
Yeah.
you took
They-
the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, they do train them and work with them and give them the best practices that they're expected to engage in throughout the day. So that piece of the relationship is already there. One of the things you had mentioned to me, Mr. Cacciano, was maybe having somebody come in and do a safety audit. Who could look around not only at the high school, but at the rest of our schools, can look at our safety plans that we've developed with the Revere Police. And let us know from an outside perspective, where the gaps are and where they think that we need to shore things up from an expert's point of view, because I think we all look around and say, well, this would be good, that would be good, the other might be good. But we should think that we should probably look at the whole system more holistically.
Yeah, very.
I like that idea. Yeah,
Also too is on the second part of it, I did speak with the security consultant, and I passed it around. And basically, this person, this company is global. And right now they're working on the Mexico soccer stadium. So it's government agency, they handle companies. And they're all senior level law enforcement and federal prosecutors. And what I would like to do is have them come in and just do an assessment. And we talked briefly this morning, and apparently this person I was talking to used to be a resident of Revere, so they're familiar with the area. And I would like to see them come in and make a presentation to the safety committee. And then exactly what we have and what we need. So the first part of this, I would like to see if we can have a vote on having someone come in from a security consultant. Who will give us who will look at everything, give us a plan. And then if we decide to go with it, and then we'll move it on to raise the meetings.
Sounds great. Want to
Can I have a
go?
motion?
Sure, I'll put forth a motion to bring in, is it any consultants?
Well, right now,
Yeah, we don't got
right
it.
now I have one that's coming in. Now, whether we want to put a bid or anything, that's something altogether.
Yeah,
It's just something that we need to move forward.
yeah.
okay,
And
sure,
and
so,
if I could just mention, with procurement law, we probably want to get an initial cost assessment, and then we can figure out if we need to get multiple bids.
okay, so.
in
just
order to
bring
do
in
it,
some
And,
consultants.
and just a reminder, I'm thinking last night from the COW meeting about the format and that subcommittees would refer to the whole committee.
Okay,
And also too, it's for them to look at what we have here. And what we can build on, even with if we have supervisors or retired police officers, rules of engagement, a assistant training. And quicker response. So whatever, they can do to can help us, I think would be good.
so I'll put forth a motion to bring in, safety consultants, outside auditors. To evaluate our security and to provide us with some advice.
Second. All in favor?
And that's a recommendation to the whole committee.
Correct.
Yeah.
And first,
Well, we're talking on the security. That is public speak at the city council, people address certain issues. And a speaker, apparently a teacher, made reference the second fight that a teacher was injured and that teachers would no longer be willing to step in, fear of being knifed or whatever their fears would be. I know past practice would be that as classes change, teachers would come to their doors and kind of, hi, how you doing, and all that to keep kids moving. Has there been any recourse, or have they still continued to come out? Well, have you noticed any
Yes,
difference?
yes,
Are
I-
teachers still coming out?
Teachers are still in the hallway,
Good.
absolutely. I mean,
And they've been reminded of late to make sure that they're out there, that it's something that had fallen off a little bit in previous years, but I know Mr. Bowen and his team, you can speak to this, Joe,
I
but
mean, a lot of these teachers have close relationships with these kids and just seeing that face.
Well, no, that's vital, that, like was
You
mentioned,
know, to,
they
you have that
trust. and they know.
de-escalation skill as a teacher and, just your voice alone. You're like, all right, that's Mrs. Jones, I'm gonna listen to her, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
it's nice.
I just wanted to make sure if there were statements made, you don't know how far it's going, is detrimental or whatever, but it's, they're doing their end of it, that's fine, that's what we expect. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add a quick comment, Mrs. Sinella. Earlier, we had said how since that altercation, it's been really productive, great in the RHS hallways. Adults have been awesome. They've been in the hallways, saying hello to kids, good morning, good afternoon, have a good day. Even dismissal, the kids dispersing and hanging with your friends. It's been a really nice atmosphere with all those adult eyes and comments in the hallways. It's been great.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we always talk about security, but we don't talk enough about how we can prevent it. So, I'll turn it over to Ms. Ellis, talk about the real platform.
Sure, so, following those fights, I had the opportunity to have a brief discussion with Officer Singer. And we were kind of brainstorming, how we can further connect with the kids who are finding themselves in trouble. In what ways we can assist with their reentry in a productive way. And I'm gonna let Officer Singer speak for himself, but he had said something that really resonated with me. He had indicated if I could just get these kids in a room and have a real conversation with them. And this idea kind of sparked from there. So why don't I let Officer Singer elaborate a little bit on it, but this is the whole idea of it, for us to have a forum where we have these students who have found themselves in trouble, perhaps as a part of the reentry process, that they have to attend this forum, and how that forum is gonna look. We haven't worked that out yet, but that's what these meetings are for. But the idea is maybe it's something that, we're not even a part of as the school committee or Dr. Kelly and Dr. Galucci, like it's Officer Singer and his people and who he brings in to talk to them one-on-one with these students. So it's that type of intimate atmosphere where, we can build and really have a real discussion without feeling like all these adults are kind of looking in on them and, as if they're subjects. So, that was the idea behind it. We were able to pass last night, a budget, an initial budget of $30,000 to help us with these types of meetings, which would also include, as a school committee member, I would like to have our committee have meetings or forums directly with parents and directly with students. So those individuals can come to us, and have those types of conversations as well. So, if Officer Singer wants to elaborate or, provide any other.
I mean, I
addition
can't go
to
really
that.
too in depth because we get allowed, due process.
Right,
Take this course for each individual student, but eventually they're gonna have to re-educate these kids. They're gonna have to come back into the community. And it's not like, we want to be able to work with these kids and make sure they're productive members in our community. So it's our obligation to make sure that these kids, we can avoid what we can prevent, basically. So if we can get on top of that and work with these kids. And, I think the cat can speak more on it for
Yeah.
the broker and circle training.
Right, I think, we don't just, take action against kids and just leave it there. We're in constant contact with district attorney's office and juvenile probation, and we actually met with them today to talk about diversion and what does that look like? And could we have a say in maybe what some of that diversion looks like, because we know these kids best rather than going elsewhere. So we began those discussions today, and I think it's a good point. It's using our own offices as part of that diversion to help these kids come into reentry. So it's definitely an option, and I know that, Roker we're meeting with Roker to talk about how could they assist us and offer any resources? And they're used in the district court as diversion as well. So it's just another option that we're looking into.
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the thought is that if we can use these, sort of forums or gatherings or whatever as a way to connect, these kids aren't lost, they're still present. And it's like we have a choice to either accept them or to try to help them. And, you know, they've gone through their disciplinary process, they served their time, excuse me, but now it's like we have to, you know, try to make them better students, better citizens, because it's beneficial to all of us, right? So I think my hope is that these adults will connect, or some of the things that they say will resonate with some of these kids, and maybe that would be the pivot. You know, maybe that would be the thing that changed the direction that they're going in.
Yeah, and I think just if I can clarify a little bit, so the kids that were involved in this particular incident won't be coming back to Revere High School, but we will still be educating them. It doesn't mean that they're just done. We're still gonna continue to work with these kids and their families. They won't be learning in this building, but they will still be learning through the Revere Public Schools. And having these kinds of connections like Officer Singer and member Milbury Ellis are talking about is critically important to keeping them engaged, because the last thing we want to do is see these kids drop out of school. That's not going to help them in the long run. It's not going to help their families. It's not going to help the community. So we're very much invested in keeping them engaged. But even beyond that, with the kids who weren't related to this incident,
Right.
we still have plenty of kids who could benefit from these kinds of supports. And speaking to the preventative measures that we're taking, that could be preventative for a number of kids who are still here at Revere High School. And then just the one other thing that I do want to add is when we do have kids that go out on a less extensive suspension, there is a re-entry process that happens when they come back. And their caregivers come in with them and first have a meeting with the social worker, the guidance counselor, and the school administration. And then they have to complete a restorative practice session through our RJ program, which Melissa Hamilton now runs and does a phenomenal job with that. But we also try to associate the kids with some peers who they can go to try to make those connections as well, to try to be preventative in terms of negative behaviors going forward.
Are we finding that that's working?
Yes, yeah.
Can I have a motion to approve the real talk form?
I think the school committee approved it last night now.
No, but we have approved it as a subcommittee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure. A motion to approve, Real Talk forums. Plural.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The last thing on the agenda is create a safety plan outlining immediate next steps and clear action items. Ms. Monteroso was supposed to be, was unable to attend. So we're gonna table this, but this is a plan that's already involved with the principal at Revere High School. So this is a plan already that's being put together. And we'll bring it, we'll table it for the next meeting. And make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hmm.